Jamaica and Sydney and everyone else that could do and medal in both events.
I don't recall it in any era, certainly in my competition time, and certainly not in my broadcasting, because like you said, Shamir Little, Britton Wilson, Femke Bol, Sydney McLaughlin Lavroni, and there are others, they're really adept at both, and they could do both at a world or Olympic level. Shamir, we know, will go back to the hurdles. That's her stronger event. Britton is staying in the 400. I hear that Sydney McLaughlin Lavroni is only running the 400 this year, but those are, unconfirmed reports. Femke Bol will run the 400-meter hurdle. So everybody's going to have to make a decision. You cannot do the double at the Olympics. That much we know. Without a schedule change, and that's not happening. The Olympic schedule is set. The Olympics, as Paul told you at the top, 110 days until the opening ceremony in Paris, and that should be fabulous. We'll be there to have it for you on the networks of NBC. So Wilson in 5, Shamir Little in 6, Kaylin Whitney on the outside in 8.
Women's 400 meters from Miramar.
That's Geneva Russell in 4 as well.
So she just sent me a message and she said, man, I need a win. I need a win.
So from the inside, Robinson Jones, the U.S., Sherrar of Canada, Russell of Jamaica, then Wilson and Little of the U.S., along with Mungo in 7. And then Kaylin Whitney out there in lane number 8. But much to the chagrin of Kaylin Whitney, she's getting chased down and going to pick up the stagger there as Britton Wilson looking very good.
Yeah, Britton Wilson has pulled up next to Shamir Little and gone right by. Not seeing any response by Geneva Russell. And if they continue to let Britton Wilson forge this lead, nobody is catching her. We know that 400-meter hurdles can finish. And so far, all Britton Wilson.
And there is Little on the left of your screen to her right shoulder, but she's not going to catch her. The strength is there, but maybe not where it needs to be later on in the season, as she kind of tired there in the last 10 or 15 meters. 51.06, the opener for Britton Wilson. But for 3/4 of that race, Otto, that's something to build on.
Yeah, I was not particularly impressed by Britton Wilson's leg at the Texas Relays. This is more what we expect from Britton Wilson, coached by Boogie Johnson, out with that fabulous group at the University of Arkansas now. She knew she had Little to her outside. She was aggressive in the first half, and then she had to hold on as Shamir Little made a little run at her at the end, but didn't really get that close. 51.07 officially for Wilson. Little back in second, a ways back in 51.41. Kaylin Whitney in 4th, Geneva Russell 5th.
Lifetime best for the Canadian Sherrar in 3rd in 51.63. So good contingent of Canadians down here in South Florida trying to use this heat and this facility to create some momentum for this outdoor season. But it's the U.S. 1, 2, and 4, and Wilson takes the victory in 51.07.
So we'll return to the straightaway next. Section 1 of 2. This is essentially the B final that will run next for the women's 100. The B final will be Mikasi of Japan, Lauren Rain Williams in 2, Agyapong of Great Britain in 3, Natasha Morrison in 4, Anderson Taylor in 5, Tina Clayton of Jamaica in 6, Christina Knott of the Philippines in 7, and Dale, Unique Dale in 8 of Jamaica.
Are you hearing it?
And as Otto mentioned earlier, Sha'Carri Richardson is in the building, but posted on her Instagram a couple of days ago that was not ready to open here. But we were also talking as we're getting set for the Diamond League schedule coming up here momentarily. We'll see her in a 200 meters in China. So the racing is going to come fast and furiously for some of these top athletes here. And here in this 100, these women now hoping an hour or so later from those opening heats, the one thing that has potentially changed is the wind direction.
I don't think
we
it
were
has.
seeing what Melissa Jefferson won her heat or 2.5 meters per second headwind. Destiny Smith Barnett won her second heat in a 2.2 meters per second headwind, and then English Gardner took the third heat, and that was up to 3.5 meters per second. And that does nothing for your race tactics when you're having to face that wind that direction.
Doesn't help your confidence either. Back in my coaching days, I would want to go somewhere that had altitude, somewhere that had maybe a likely tailwind, because you don't want, especially the younger athletes, you come out here and yes, it's into a headwind, and yes, the time is not going to be anything to write home about, but sometimes that can affect a younger athlete. How come I'm training well? Shouldn't I be running faster? Well, you ran into a 7-mile-per-hour headwind.
And it's not uncommon in some of these facilities to actually reverse the direction of the races
Right.
if there's a wind. But in this case, it's real difficult to do that because we only have one
Yep.
timing station set up at this finish line. So we'll see that in some other spring events that we've had. We've seen it at Drake. And
Texas Relays does that
Texas,
very well.
Yep.
In fact, they'll run on opposite sides. I think it's one of the things that the Texas
And at the
Relays
Penn
does
Relays,
best.
they'll run races at the same
Right.
time.
Yeah.
Well, it's still a great facility, and I think the Paralympic Games trials for the Team USA is going to be held here later on in the month of July, and host a lot of number of events here, both community and pro, as you get a look at Finette Agyapong of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, getting those blocks and those start stations set here for the women. This is the first of two finals.
Agyapong was British indoor champion in the 200 in 2017 and 2018. Natasha Morrison, who will be in lane 4. She was part of that Jamaican 4x1 that won the gold at the Tokyo Olympic Games. She has 2 more gold medals with Team Jamaica in the 4x1. It's hard to break into that Jamaican team because this year, if you want to make the Jamaican team, you have to go against the 3 medalists from the Tokyo Olympic Games. That's not an easy task. No other country, no other country's athletes have to deal with that. So we're almost ready here now for the B final. Casey, Lauren Rain Williams, Agyapong, Natasha Morrison, Anderson Taylor, Tina Clayton, Clayton twins from Jamaica, Christina Knott in 7, and Unique Dale in 8.
More excited for the road to the women's 100-meter final versus the men's 100-meter final in Paris?
I think the women have more players from more countries. I don't hear a lot of people talking as much maybe as they should about how good Julian Alfred looks. I was very impressed with what she did winning the World Indoor 60. Her season last year was amazing because she had that very long collegiate season. I was very open in saying I thought it was the best collegiate season ever by a female sprinter. And yet, look at how competitive she was at Worlds, just off the court.
Going through the lane-by-lane introductions here as we see Agyapong again, and there is the aforementioned Natasha Morrison of Jamaica, the 31-year-old now. A couple of gold medals from 4x1s at the world stage. Taylor Anderson ran at Connecticut back in graduating in 2017. Tina Clayton in lane 6 of Jamaica. You hear the crowd responding accordingly. Good Jamaican contingent in the stands here in Miramar. Christina Knott of the Philippines, their record holder with 100 and 200 meters, and Dale of Jamaica ran at Ohio State. It, goes once again, and for our international viewers watching around the globe, U.S. collegiate system is the de facto Olympic training ground for so many federations around the globe. So it's fun to have them, coming back here now, thinking the much bigger stages, but also having that connection to a lot of these U.S. colleges and universities.
So let's hope that the wind has at least died down somewhat. It's going to be in their face, I believe, but let's hope that it dies down enough where everybody goes home thinking that they got a good run down this brand new track. and they can move on to the rest of their season.
Well, a great setup here with prelims followed by finals and giving both these top 16 women a chance to race again, because this really does mimic those rounds, and you're trying to get ready for a different rhythm to a lot of these championships.
Coaches love it. Simulate a championship where you have to be able to come back and do it again after the heats on the same day. That's the way it's going to be at your trials. That's the way it's going to be at the Olympics. So the B final first, and then we'll have the A final. That A final will feature, among others, English Gardner, U.S. national champion in 2021, Melissa Jefferson. Sasha Forbes, Alana Reed, and others.
Here's the B final of the women's 100 meters from Miramar. Good start on the inside by Makasi of Japan. Finish late now, 6 now, and 4 is Natasha Morrison. And Morrison's going to get to the line here, I think, with the wind. And the winds are a little lighter, but they're still the wrong direction. 1.2 meters per second headwind. But the Jamaicans go now, as you can hear the crowd, 1 and 2. Tina Clayton picks up second in 11:50. So a win is a win is a win. But times you're not going to walk out of this saying, oh, I'm ready for sub-11.
Well, if we're being honest, given that the headwind is only 1.2, the times maybe could be a little faster, if we're being honest. It's not like they're running into a -3 or 4 meter per second headwind now, but Morrison does take care of business. And as you said, Tina Clayton completing the 1-2 for Jamaica. The crowd, lots of Jamaicans here in their green, yellow, and black. There's Morrison, closely followed by Tina Clayton, half of the Clayton twin duo that ran all those spectacular times at Champs in Jamaica. That is not the results for the women's 100. That's the results for the women's 400. Britton Wilson.
She's versatile.
She's not that versatile. And if she's running 151.07, she probably should not be running the event.
Yeah. So that sets the stage for this A final. And as Otto mentioned, a former U.S. champion, English Gardner, had a good run, winning her third heat of the preliminary 3 heats. But we have a couple of U.S. champions here with Gardner and another athlete that Otto mentioned, Melissa Jefferson, who won back in 2022. You know, this is...
I said 21. The winner in 21 was Sha'Carri Richardson. That was the Olympic trials. 22 was when we saw Miss Jefferson win the U.S. national title.
So you got Sha'Carri sitting in the stands, World Championship gold medal in her back pocket. Where do you see this? Start with kind of the U.S. contingent. Where do you see it playing out?
I am not as excited about the women, only because, unlike the men, the U.S. and Sha'Carri have a dominant 100-meter sprinter. I don't think anybody would say that she's not going to be in that top 3 come trials time.
One athlete we did talk about in the prelims, keep an eye on Destiny Smith-Barnett in lane 5. She was really starting well in the indoor season, showed a good start in the prelims. She can make that start turn into a consistent race through the finish. She's got a good shot to win here. Gardner in 4 and Jefferson in 6.
Yeah, Smith-Barnett might be the favorite here.
Okay. There she is in 5, right next to English Gardner, but a fairly even as Forbes drops out of the race in 7, but now coming up in 6, that's Jefferson with that head on and seems to be celebrating with the VIP crowd there as well. She will now indeed take the win. 11:19, sub 1 meter per second, still a headwind though, 0.9. So the 2022 champion trying to open up this outdoor season on the road to Paris in 2024 and leads a sweep of Americans. Smith-Barnett 2nd, Gardner 3rd, Baylark 4th. Parker and Darius make it the top 6 women, all from the U.S. And the youngster Alana Reed of Jamaica finishing behind everybody else.
That was Sasha Lee Forbes that pulled up mid-race. So yeah, this is the kind of time that I would expect, given the time of year and given that the headwind has died down. 11:19, not a bad opener for the 2022 U.S. champion, Melissa Jefferson. She's very much, and you see all those seasons best, and that's because this is everybody's first race of the year. So there's a confirmation, and there's Sasha Lee Forbes, unfortunately, being led off the field, being helped off the track. Something went wrong for her just about midway down the track. So the men are up next, and the situation will be the same. There'll be a B final first, and then we will have the A final. It's a pretty competitive race. Simon Barnett ended up second. Sasha Lee Forbes. I'd like to see somebody help her all the way off the track, as opposed to her having to go through this by herself. That would be really nice. But now we switch to the men. Lane 1 will be Miles Lewis of Puerto Rico, CJ Green of Antigua in 2, JT Smith of the United States in 3, Taylor Banks of the U.S. and Florida State. He's a local, having trained on this track most of his high school life. He'll be in 4. Kyrie King from the United States in 5. Eric Harrison of Trinidad and Tobago in 6. Koike of Japan in 7. And Michael Campbell of Jamaica in 8. That's the B final.
So we start this 2024 season in the men's 100 meters with a reigning world champion out of the United States, Noah Lyles, who at least is discussing. Still got to make the team and make everyone believe he can do it all, but trying to go after potentially 4 golds in Paris. That would require another appearance in a 400 meters probably this spring, maybe just to demonstrate fitness. Would you think he'd have to show himself in an open 4?
Maybe. He's been running a lot of mile relays of late. But yeah, I think to be seriously considered to be on there, he would have to run something, I would say 45-ish, maybe 46 low, to at least show that he's capable of not really blowing up. Not that anybody would doubt Noah Lyles and his 19.3 ability would have a problem at 400 meters. Not the way he runs.
Yeah, he was a surprise late add to that quartet that competed in Glasgow, Scotland at the World Indoor Championships this year for Team USA. We'll see.
We're waiting on Melissa.
Just waiting for the timers to reset everything. So this men's B final of the 100 will be up here shortly, followed by the men's A final. Still events to come include the women's 100-meter hurdles, the men's 110-meter hurdle final. We'll have those 600 meters for the men and the women, and then we'll close the day with the half-lappers at 200 meters. Good setup for the men's race coming up here in shortly. And let's quickly go down to hear from our women's winner, Melissa Jefferson, in the 100 meters.
Okay, Melissa, 11.15.
Just wanted to be a better person than I was this both the finals. So to come out here today and win the whole thing, you know, it's just a blessing. I've been through nothing.
importantly, what went right for you today in this 100?
Me not paying attention to trusting that I can get it without good.
Oh, yeah, yes, yeah.
Line for this first of two finals in the men's 100 meters, Section B. See the start list on your screen. Trio of Americans in the middle of the track in J.T. Smith, Taylor Banks, and Kyrie King. Kyoki of Japan, one of the John Smith
That's right.
athletes in that stable out in Los Angeles. Get them in the blocks here. It'll be a timed final, but these 8 gentlemen were the next 8 fastest in those preliminaries. But with the winds beginning to die down just a little bit,
Maybe the times will improve.
means you can win this 100 by coming through the line fastest in either of these next 2 heats.
And we're off at our final section of the men's
Start,
100 meters. And look at them burning up the track. It's only the beginning of the season, but they're in quite shape.
Kyrie King is now going to come to the line. Look at that
That's going to be
window.
another close one. You'll look at the screen here.
2.6 meters per second to
Kyrie King of the United States winning in 10.4.
wind reading there, but Kyrie King, the former
Eric Harrison,
University of Oregon
Trinidad
duck, takes the
Tobago,
victory here in
10.52.
10:48. Eric Harrison, Trinidad Tobago second in 10:52.
Yeah, that is an almost 6-mile-an-hour headwind. Not easy to run into, and it's why the time
sprinting action here with the
is a little slower than we would expect.
Miramar
10:48.
Invitational.
Eric Harrison of
Let's give a
Trinidad
round of
Tobago up
applause
for
again
second.
for all of our great sprinters that have been out here this afternoon. Give them a round of applause. A lot of them, this is their season opener. They chose the Miramar Invitational
There's
to
a
do so.
confirmation. Kyrie
And
King,
we're very
10:48. He put
glad
just
he
enough
did.
space between him and Trinidad and Tobago's Eric Harrison to secure the win. But a big headwind, minus 2.6. So one of the things that we changed here, Paul, is we made the relay zones now in gray.
Of the 100 meters.
And that's kind of World Athletics policy now. All the new Mondo tracks that you see, if you see this alternate color on the
Here are
relays,
your
it means
lane
that that track is
assignments in heat
fairly
number
new.
2. In lane 1,
It's grown on
Ronnie
me.
Baker from
I love the
United
colors
States.
of our track.
Lane 2,
The gray has
Johan
grown on
Blake
me.
of Jamaica. Lane 3, Aaron Brown of Canada. Lane 4, Rohan
For the
Watson of
introductions
Jamaica.
here of the
Lane
A
5,
final
Akeem
here of the
Blake of
men's
Jamaica.
100 meters.
Lane 6, from Puerto Rico, Diego
That
Gonzalez.
A final will feature, among
In lane
others,
7,
both Blakes from
Courtney
Jamaica.
Lindsay of
The
the
older one,
United
Johan, the
States.
second fastest man of all time at 100 and 200. And Akeem Blake, fresh off his bronze at the World Indoors behind Noah Lyles and Christian Coleman.
And let's check in with Kyrie King.
Okay, Kyrie, so 10:48 for a season opener. What was the game plan coming into the Miramar Invitational?
Run fast and get a W. That's all I was thinking about.
Okay, and what went right besides winning in the race for you today?
I really just want to up my competition level. You know, I finally get to come out here and compete. I've been waiting a long time. It's been a long fall. So now the season's here. It's time to rock.
Okay, so now you're going back to the drawing board. What needs to happen for the 2024 Olympics?
We just keep building all the way till June, till July, and into August. You know, nothing stops here. It's the first one, but we're gonna keep going no matter what the time is. We got more races. So I'll be at Tom Jones next week, and we're gonna keep it going.
Okay, we're excited to see what you do. Good luck.
Thank you.
Double pack. Kyrie. Read that year in 9:97. Now let's sit and watch here how the second final unfolds. And as you mentioned here, some good talent in the field. Johan Blake, we weren't up with our stream for the preliminaries, but he got a little bit of a coupon as we thought he was seriously.
He false started in his heat and they put him back in. Let's just tell the people that are watching. I don't know. The starter might be Jamaica. I don't know. We thought for sure he was out. He clearly false started, but Blake will be in 2. The other Blake, and they train together, yes, but they are not related. Rohan Watson will be in 4. Aaron Brown, the Canadian, who of course was part of that 4x1 that upset the United States on home soil 2 years ago now in Eugene, will be in lane 3.
So very good field here in Miramar in 2024. The A final, the men's 100 meters. And the racing underway. Eric Brown had a nice start. Will Akeem Blake emerge out of the middle of the track? He's going to have a go at it as Courtney Lindsay out in 7 was also running a nice race here. We'll wait for the camera to determine who got there at the finish. It is Lindsay, and a bit of an upset. 10:28, and that headwind still strong, 2.4 meters per second, but he takes the victory. In fact, it's equal times for Blake in 2nd and Lindsay in 1st, and they are separated by 0.005 of a second.
Yeah, but that is an upset. Anytime you defeat Akeem Blake, a guy who, as we said, is coming off of the bronze medal in the 60 at the World Indoors just last month. And there's a confirmation.
And let's go down to the finish line to hear from the victor of this men's A final.
He's getting a sip of water. We'll have it momentarily.
From Jamaica, running 18.38 meters.
Lindsay, the collegiate champion a year ago. First year as a pro now, Texas Tech graduate. Again, different kind of year, but a good way to start it as he comes up against these pros and a good pro field, putting the equal second fastest ever in the event, and takes the victory.
Stand by, wait for it. It's a throw of 19.88 meters, and guess what?
Okay, they were calling 2 people.
I think that was Ronnie Baker.
Yeah, it was Ronnie Baker. Ronnie Baker, according to our results, was 4th in 10:44 behind Blake and Ewers.
For the men's long jump as well.
Okay, 10.28 for a season opener. What did you tell yourself going into this race?
Just get out and put pressure on them. They're 60. That's what my coach told me to do. So I just try to execute that and make sure I get my feet up at the end. So I just try to execute all the way to the finish line. That's what I did.
Okay, so you put away a world-class field. What do you think about the competition here at the Miramar Invitational?
It was great. Great competition, you know, for a season opener. It just it gives me a mindset of where I'm at and where I can go during the season. So I'm at a good start and I feel good.
Okay, so anything in particular working on you really want to execute before the 2024 Olympics?
Just, stay healthy, keep working on my form, and, just keep winning, keep beating people. So that's about it.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's a really good plan for the Olympic year. Keep beating people. 110 days until the opening ceremony at the Paris Olympic Games. We hope you will join us.
Got Sha'Carri Richardson behind the camera there. I think I recognized her more for her fingernails than I did for actually getting a full look at her face there. But she is in attendance here, as is a capacity crowd at Anson Sports Complex. Miramar, a great host for this stop on the Continental Tour, and getting set now for more racing to come. But there is the reigning world champion.
In fact, Paul, you remember, we originally had both Sha'Carri Richardson and Sharika Jackson of Jamaica scheduled to run here. Sha'Carri has run in each of the last 2 years, as we told you at the top. But both of them withdrew, and that's kind of typical for this time of the year, especially when you have a big superstar. They don't want to step on the track unless they're 100% ready. So Sha'Carri is here signing autographs and meeting folks. But this is the first year of 3 that she has not actually participated in. We look forward to welcoming her back next year for the 2025 version of this team.
So the hurdle crew getting themselves some work here as they set the hurdles for the women's 100-meter hurdles. They also had heats earlier today, and they will be advancing here now to a final race shortly.
The difference with the hurdles is that unlike in the 100, they will not run an A and a B final. So they ran the heats, as you said, but everybody advance to this one final as we get a look again at the end of the men's 100.
Okay, Akeem Blake, 10.28 in your season opener. You're coming out of an exceptional indoor season. What went well for you today?
Well, it was great, you know, first run in the book and many more to come. And I want to say thanks to Miramar to have me again. Thanks to our Jamaican came out here to support us.
Okay, and for those who are watching at home, what are they missing?
Well, it's a great experience out here. I wish every Jamaican could be here to watch me perform.
And how excited are you? 2024 Olympics, what are you going back home to work on now?
Well, time will tell. Just watch. Stay tuned.
Good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
I can tell you this, I would not bet against Akeem Blake making that Jamaican team. Of course, Oblique Seville is certainly going to be in that conversation. I think 2 of those spots, if they stay healthy, are pretty much spoken for. They've made the last couple of Jamaican teams. Oblique Seville trained by Usain Bolt's former coach Glenn Mills. And then you have Blake, both Blakes, Akeem and Johan, training in another camp. But Akeem has been way more consistent, I think, than people realize. Even though he hasn't had the individual success as Oblique Seville has. Oblique Seville has been 4th in the last 200-meter World Championship finals. And he has to be thinking, okay, I've been 4th twice now. I know what it's like to get to the final. Now it's just a matter of getting on the podium.
Look at the shot put area is one of 3 field events that are being contested today. This features the 2-time reigning world champion Chase Jackson. There she is getting set for what appears will be the concluding throw of round 4. She's already set the meet record today, 65 2 3/4, 19 meters 88. They remember her as Chase Ely. If you didn't watch her during the indoor season, we updated the story. She got married during the off season, so now we'll be moving forward. Chase Jackson, and she gets into the ring here for the 4th round of the women's shot put.
And I always love reminding folks that she was the state champion in the 100.
In the state of New Mexico. Indeed she was, and uses that speed with her spin move rather effectively, though she deliberately stepped out of the ring there for that red flag and the foul. So she will go into the 5th of the 6 rounds of competition with the lead. Fellow American Maggie Ewan currently in 2nd, and then the Jamaican Daniel Thomas Dodd is currently in 3rd. A good look at that shot put ring adjacent to the finish line area as Portia Warren of Trinidad and Tobago opens up throwing here in round 5. She's currently 5th in the order as the women in the 100-meter hurdles waiting for those final few hurdles to get reset after warm-ups, and then we'll get to racing here in this race as well. Waiting for that mark for Warren here, now officially a foul. So we'll keep an eye on the competition going on in that women's shot put as we get set for the racing back here on the track. Just a few more races to come here. We'll have these hurdle races for the women and the men, 600 meters the distance for the longest races of the day, and then we'll close it out with 200 meters coming up here as we'll carry this forward for about another hour of the sunshine in Miramar.
And you see the lineup there. Alicia Johnson had a great year last year. Tania Marshall now being coached by Dennis Mitchell, training with Sha'Carri Richardson and T.T. Terry in the Orlando area. Charisma Taylor made the 60 hurdles final at the World Indoors. And of course, Cindy Sember, I always remember that she was 4th behind the U.S. sweep at the Rio Olympic Games in the 100 hurdle Olympic final.
Going strong here in the men's long jump.
The 2 Jamaicans, Brown and Roswell, will be in 2 and 6. Jean of
All
Haiti
competitors are in their 3rd round of
in lane
competition.
1.
Once again, DeMarcus Simpson of the United States
Talk about Alicia Johnson comes in with the moniker of the reigning U.S. indoor champion. Sometimes we talked about it during those indoor broadcasts is that you think that some athletes would just say indoor season not worth it, just going to focus on the outdoor season. Others chose indoors as a important ingredient, some wanting to make that U.S. indoor team, including the likes of Noah Lyles. And for Alicia, I think it's to get sort of back into that confidence level where she was going into the World Championships in Oregon back in 2022. And again, not to be overstated how many times we say that making the U.S. team in this particular event is extraordinarily difficult.
I've said many times, this is probably my favorite event to cover. I don't think there's been a repeat champion, Worlds or Olympics, since Michelle Perry. How long ago was that? Yeah, 05 and 07.
We're 4 minutes away.
Ever since, you don't get to sit on that throne for very long. The Olympic champion hasn't been able to win since the Olympics. The world champion in 2022 didn't even see the podium in 2023. But it makes for a very competitive and fun race to cover. Alicia Johnson tends to run a lot. I'm a huge believer in her talent. I just feel like she has to kind of overcome some of her unforced errors, and she'll be fine. It's the kind of year where, look, if she gets it right in June in Eugene, she could be thinking about an Olympic medal. It's an extremely competitive event, not just in the U.S., but remember what the Bahamas has now in Devin Charlton. Because she was just off the podium in Budapest, and she has to be thinking, yeah, and that's the last time that's going to happen, because I'm so much better now, not just at 60 hurdles, but her confidence is going to be so buoyed by what she was able to do indoors. I think she's going to be a contender for one of those medals from Paris.
In lane 3 from the United States.
The crowd here at Anson settling in as the athletes are at the line, and we're getting set for this 100-meter hurdle final for the women. John of Haiti in 1, Amoy Brown of Jamaica in 2, Amber Hughes, the United States in 3. There's the aforementioned Alicia Johnson, and next to her, Tanea Marshall, the SEC champion a few years back and the U.S. indoor runner-up last year. Roswell of Jamaica, 3-time Big 12 champion at Texas Tech. Charisma Taylor, the Bahamian, ran at Tennessee collegially, and then, as Otto mentioned, Cindy Sember, 4th in Rio in 2016, the British record holder, Michigan, and 7-time British champion, and oh yes, Michigan Wolverine as well. So a lot of collegiate connections in this international field here in Miramar. Final moments of reflection as they get set for the blocks and the racing in the 100-meter hurdle.
And this race is the kind of race where Alicia Johnson and Tanea Marshall will look at each other and go, yeah, I have to take care of the competition here, because let's face it, Tanea Marshall and Alicia Johnson are going to be expected to toe the line for the Olympic trials final when we get to Eugene for the U.S. Olympic trials. So you don't want to hand your competition any early advantages psychologically by taking an L here. So hopefully that will make for a very competitive race. It's the kind of field where we expect that the winner is going to come from either Johnson or Marshall. But we have covered this event enough to know. Think about the World Championships. You know, a lot of us, myself included, focused on the middle. You got the world record holder, the ex-world record holder, the Olympic champion, and Danielle Williams wins it from lane 2. So that's what we love about the hurdles. Yes, you can have your favorites, but lots of upsets in this event. It's why we have not had repeat champions for the last almost 2 decades. The world lead you see there, Grace Stark of the USA and the University of Florida formerly, 12:70.
Johnson ran 12:93 into a pretty significant headwind in the preliminary round. Tanea Marshall won her heat 2 in 13:09. Wind was a little breezier at that point, minus 2.5 meters per second. So they will line up next to each other in lanes 4 and 5 here as they'll now finally get into the blocks. Great look from up above here from our camera in the sky.
Tania Marshall, by the way, is the defending champion. She won here last year with a slightly wind-aided 1262. That's when the wind was blowing in the opposite direction. We haven't had one tailwind here for the day, and that's surprising to me, having been here for 15 years. Very rare that we get this consistent headwinds, but that's the way it is as we start here.
Women's 100-meter hurdles from Miramar. And you see a hand up. I think that's
Alicia
Johnson.
yeah.
Asking for a call-up. So.
And she's indicating something to the starter. I don't know if she's saying, I need it quieter. She appears ready to go again, so maybe it was a little too noisy at the start. And of course, we've lived with this now for 14 seasons. One false start at every level of the sport and you're out. High school, college, pros. So if you are not happy with what's going on at the start, you are better off raising your hand every time and have them call the race up, get it more to your liking, and then you can put forth your best effort. So the favorites in the middle, Alicia Johnson in 4. We think Tania Marshall is going to give her the best run.
And this time underway, Marshall got a good start. Johnson did not have a good start in heat number 1, but she did have a good back half of the race, and she's doing that again here. Middle of the track, though, out wide, and 8 was Sember closing very good at the end. That wind dying down, and a season's best for Alicia Johnson. She just holds off Sember in 1280 to 1283. So Johnson, our winner in women's 100-meter hurdle.
Well, we were almost prophetic about the whole somebody from the outside pulling an upset. Sember did her best because Alicia Johnson opened the door with a subpar start, but she still gets a 12.80 time for her efforts. The win minus 1.3. Tania Marshall finished in 5th. So she's going to be competitive at the trials. Her and her coach Dennis Mitchell have some more work to do, but it is early. There's a lot of training to be done between now and your peak, and all-American athletes have to peak. Well, I shouldn't say all. Ryan Krauser does not have to peak for the Olympic trials, but Alicia Johnson does. Tania Marshall does. The Jamaicans do. The Bahamians do. Most athletes have to absolutely peak for the Olympic trials. Not when you're Ryan Krauser and you're light years better than everybody else. So there's your confirmation. Season's best for everybody. This is their, for most people, it's their opener. Johnson at 1280, Cindy Sember, who ran well from the outside, 1283. Amber Hughes, 1294. Charisma Taylor of the Bahamas in 4th. So 5 women, despite the headwind, breaking 13 seconds flat. So what's left? The 100 hurdles, and then we go around the track for the 600s before, as Paul said, we conclude with the men's and women's 200. And those should be good because we do have on the men's side Kenny Bednarek, Olympic silver, world silver, versus the 60-meter world champion on the men's side again, Christian Coleman. So that should be good, and Coleman's on the outside. So we look forward to wrapping up our day's coverage with those 2 deuces.
But before we get on to more action on the track, let's hear from another winner, Alicia Johnson, down trackside.
Okay. Alicia Johnson, you just won the women's 110 meters in 12.80. What was something that you were really proud of?
Just staying in it. It's really windy. Just making sure I don't give my position up and staying like pressing on the gas the whole entire time. In the prelims, I was kind of like all over the place because it was so windy. But just, you know, trying to focus on not worry about the time, but worry about place and worry about competing this season.
And what make you want to start your outdoor season here at the Miramar Invitational?
I wanted to make sure I got some races on American soil before I go overseas. So I'm headed off to China, and I'm really excited. My next race is a big Diamond League, and it's all stacked up. So getting this under my belt with a home crowd is like super dope.
And lastly, what do you think about the competition in your race today?
man, the girls was rolling. Everybody's out here trying to get the time down. You know, it's Olympic year. It's going to be a great season, and I looked to my left, looked to my right. Everybody was right there, so I had to make sure I ran through the line this time.
We're excited to see what you do for the rest of the year. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Bright smile from Alicia Johnson here as she gets ready to pack her bags and head over to China. That's where they're going to start the Diamond League season. First time we've been in China for the Diamond League for several years. They're going to go back to back before they, what they would normally have done, started in Doha. That'll actually be the third stop on the tour. And there's a lot of events happening on the Diamond League schedule into that June area, free, and then I think we go.
Well, it started last year, because you remember we had some meets last year at the end of the year where they stuck some Diamond League meets.
That's right.
From China in there. So it's good to see that part of the world reopening. There's the confirmation of Alicia Johnson's win. The wind minus 1.3 in their faces. So as she said, it was important to come here and feel like you get the first race never feels right. I remember those days. It never, you always feel like, felt rusty, I felt sluggish. So you get a good race in here as we get a look at this capacity crowd, at least on this side. You get a race in here so that your next race, when you get to the Diamond League, as she said, a stacked Diamond League race from the country of China. We'll start the Diamond League season, I believe, Paul, with 2 races, 2 meets in China. She wants to make sure that that's not her first race, and she is not having her first race be against that level of competition.
Women's shot put competition has now included Chase Jackson to carry that meet record effort of 65 2 3/4 all the way through to the end foul on her final attempt. She takes the victory. Maggie Ewan second, and Thomas Dodd of Jamaica finishing in third. Earlier in the day, may have some highlights for you to show later on. Talia Brooks in the 6th and final round took the women's long jump competition. Shanice Porter of Jamaica had led that most of the way up until the final round and the penultimate jump of the final round, but winds up second on the day. And Elizabeth Felix Boyer of Puerto Rico finishing in third. The men's long jump is actually happening right now adjacent to the start of this men's 100. You see the pit now coming into full view. Jason Smith of the U.S. is the current leader, best of 7 meters 63, 25 feet 1/2 inches. They're rolling through now 5th attempts in the men's long jump competition.
And 2019 world champion from Jamaica, Tajay Gale, is currently in 4th with a 24.6 and change jump. .24.6 1/4 puts him in 4th. The Americans 1, 2, 3 as the long jump continues. So remember, too, they are jumping into the same headwind because they're starting from the same direction for the long jump as the straightaway races, both the 100 and the 100 hurdles.
When you take
And
yourself,
the 110s.
when you take yourself back to your professional career in these Olympic years, and you think about these season opening meets, what do you reflect on those as? How did they become important on the road to whichever Olympic year that particular year was?
Well, we talked about it earlier in the broadcast. For me, it was so critical for my confidence to make sure that my opener was fast. Luckily, on the West Coast, we have the Mount Sac relays where the track was fast, the crowd was always capacity, and you always had a tailwind. So there are a lot of years that I went into May and June with, you know, one of the, if not the fastest time in the world, one of the fastest times in the world, because the competition at Mount Sac and the conditions were so perfect. So for me, I know what some of these athletes are thinking. Yeah, I've been training, especially the ones who didn't run indoors. I've been training for a long time. I want to see some results. So it's unfortunate that they have to run into a headwind here. I know a lot of them would love to be able to go home and say, hey, I ran 10.9 windy. How windy was it? Doesn't matter how windy it was. I ran 10.9 because in your mind, that just feels better that you came out here and ran a fast time. But
well, I thought Alicia Johnson's point was well taken.
Yes.
Knowing what the conditions were, she sort of shifted the goal setting for the day and said it was really more about competition and focused on place, not time.
Yes.
And that benefits her equally because she's now, as she said, going to the Diamond League. Those fields are stacked, and she can come in saying, hey, I won my first race. Now I just got to keep that going.
And remember, she took down in that race maybe 1 or 2 people who she might be running against if she makes the Olympic team, and Nia Marshall and Cindy Sember. Cindy Sember almost upset the whole race from the outside.
So here's our field on the men's 110-meter hurdles. As we'll have lanes 1 through 7. Keep an eye on Andrew Potsy in lane number 2, world indoor champion back in 2018. Orlando Bennett of Jamaica next to him in lane 3. Highest world ranked athlete of this field, Tyler Mason of Jamaica. He is in lane number 4.
He was 4th in the Jamaican Championships last year. Bennett, who you mentioned, was 3rd. He made the semifinal round in Budapest. Eric Edwards Jr., the 2022 NCAA runner-up in this event, while at LSU.
Ed Parchment is the reigning Olympic champion, so Jamaica's flag flies high here for this event, though there's at least one Holloway that has.
Jamaica's fortunes in this event have changed so rapidly. When Parchment got his bronze, it was the first medal for Jamaica ever. Now they have 2 Olympic golds. Omar McLeod got one, and then Parchment got one in Tokyo.
So men's 110 hurdles. It should be a pretty competitive race, pretty even in the early going as they get over the 5th hurdle. No one has really emerged here, so we'll see it at the line. From this perspective, hard to pick a winner there. Is Eric Edwards in 5, Tyler Mason in 4. And it's Tyler Mason going to take the victory. The Jamaican crowd excited for that result. 13:57, not a blistering pace here on the track. The wind at 1.5 meters. Again, it continues to be a headwind throughout the day. Eric Edwards 2nd, and then Andrew Potsy finishing 3rd in 13:63.
Tyler Mason's personal best is 13:12, dating back to last year at his national championships in the heats. He rode a 2.0 wind all the way, although 110 hurdlers would be quick to tell you they don't like those big tailwinds because it gets them too close to the hurdle they're trying to get over. So there's the confirmation. Tyler Mason of Jamaica, 13:57. Really close race as Eric Edwards trailed by just 0.03 of a second in 2nd. Potsy 3rd. And the rest of the men's 110-meter hurdles final run into a minus 1.5 meter per second headwind. So now we go to the men's and women's 600. They won't care that much about the wind. And that's going to be a pattern at this meet, according to meet director Tony Campbell. He is going to, because of the time of the year of this meet, expect to see 150s in the future. 300s, 600s will continue. The athletes love it. The coaches really like it because they get to run some of those training distances. Plus, if you have a bad 600 in your quarter mile, you go, well, that's not my event. If you're a 100, 200 person, you have a bad 300, you go, hey, that's longer than I'm used to running. So the athletes like it because it's sort of like a built-in excuse if you don't have the best day ever.
That was DeMarcus Simpson of the United States in round 5 of the men's long jump. Current best of 7 meters 57, 24 feet 10 inches as he stands in 3rd, but just 6 centimeters off the lead of Jason Smith. So pretty compact field here between places 1 through 4. 7 meters 48 in round number 5 keeps him for the moment in 4th position. That'll bring up Will Williams of the U.S., the U.S. indoor champion a year ago, NCAA indoor champion back in 2018. As he won this event a year ago, did Williams, trying to do that again here, but doing so again, with these conditions, at least from the wind's point of view, as an Oregonian, I would tell you that every other aspect of this day is spectacular for early April.
Can't argue with the temperature.
Yeah. As I've often announced at Hayward Field, first calls for the men's bobsled in some of those early opener meets, but just beautiful conditions here. Temperature right around 80 degrees, and see the current standings in that men's long jump. This is just through, call it 4.5 rounds, as Williams will jump here in a moment. He just lands in the pick, that signature kit that he wears with his name on the back. I think we should just abandon the bibs right now.
And we've been told that lane 6 in this upcoming men's 600 Peralta of the Dominican Republic is a scratch. So I think that will leave 7 of the 8 for this men's 600. This race will feature Isaiah Jewett, who had a phenomenal 2021. He was the NCAA champion that year while at USC, and then he got onto the Olympic team. You'll remember he had a memorable Olympic Games in that he collided and fell during the Olympics. 2022 was kind of a down year for him. He bounced back last year, but was only 4th at the U.S. Championships and therefore missed making the team. So he'll be 600, which will be up next. He'll be in lane 5.
And last jump for Jason Smith to conclude round 5 here coming up as he works his way down the runway. And he lands, and we go to the finish line.
First year going professional. How did you feel running today?
I felt really good. I'm coming off of an injury, so I'm just happy to get the chance to come out here and be able to open up early and be healthy and just get my first race under the belt.
And tell me about the atmosphere. Why did you want to open up today at the Miramar Invitational?
Yeah, I've heard great things about this meet. I watched it last year, so I'm excited to actually be here and be with my training group. So it was a really great meet, really fun.
Okay, and tell me about your game plan as you went around the track today.
Yeah, I just wanted to execute. I've been training, getting to do some speed work lately, so I've been trying to apply what I've done at practice and just come out here and execute a good race.
Okay, and most importantly, what is next for you as you get prepared for the 2024 Olympics?
Yeah, I'll get to open up at some Diamond League meets, my first Diamond League, and then hopefully get to run some more 400s and head to U.S. trials. So I'm looking forward to it.
We're so excited to see what you have in store for us.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Thank you, Teresa. So that's Britton Wilson, the winner of our women's 400, as the men's long jump call continues.
They're in the final round of jumps here. Yamakawa on the runway behind that look of Britton Wilson as we get a red flag here at the end. And
crowd does not like it.
Nor does Yamakawa.
No.
He has actually not had a legal jump today. Every single one of them has been a foul.
And that doesn't surprise us, right? Because of the headwinds. Look, jumpers don't want wind in either direction because both of them have the potential, if you don't know what you're doing, certainly early in the season, maybe you have a lot more speed that you've been working on, and now it throws off your mark. So there are the lane assignments for the men's 600. You see the empty lane where Peralta of the Dominican Republic was supposed to be. Cardenas on the outside. Demuel of Canada in 2. Miawad in 3. He represents Egypt. Sanchez in 4. Our favorite Jewett in 5. Kachuk of Canada in 7. And Ulrich of the United States on the outside in lane 8. So they'll start at the 200 mark, and then they'll run an entire lap after that to complete this 600. The women will be next.
And the trees affording us a sort of sense of that wind and the wind direction. So there, and the flag just beyond that lane 8, well, Ulrich is, you can see it's just blowing directly from the finish line towards the back straight. So they're going to see that twice here.
And shout out to our drone operator. He has given us some very unique shots. I have been in the broadcast booth for 20 years, and he gave us that shot from directly above for the heats of the 100 that maybe we'll try to incorporate into our broadcast next year. But he has definitely given us some unique shots of this Anson Sports Complex, now celebrating its 15th year of existence.
just far enough away from the nearest airport to get some of these shots because you kind of have to follow some of those rules with drones these days. So we're underway here. Men's 600, a little bit of a different distance for these folks, but they will now come to the cones as they would normally do on the back straight, and they move to the rail here in the early going. That's Jewett in second as they get themselves around the track here for the very first time. Ryan Sanchez, as he often does, Puerto Rican out ahead and trying to drive this race early.
And remember that Jewett is capable of 1:43.8. That was what he ran in 2021, by far his best season ever when he was NCAA champion. And as I told you, made the Olympic team and the Olympic semifinals. And now, with 200 meters to go, Jewett is trying to get a little bit closer so he can summon his kick off the turn.
Yeah, he's coming up on the outside, trying to slingshot his way to the finish, but he's going to do it in lane number 2. Sanchez, who led it from the cones to the inside, still stride for stride with Jewett. Hard to tell here, but now you can see Jewett now well ahead of Sanchez and is going to take the victory here at 600 meters, the distance for the former USC Trojan, and he wins in 1:16.16 over 600 meters here in Miramar.
Well, he's run 1:15.9 for an indoor personal best. So given how much we've had the wind back and forth on this track, and they would have had to run into that headwind twice, once on the opening go around and then when they came back around. So the Olympian Isaiah Jewett, 1:16.16 is your men's 600-meter winner here at the 2024 Miramar Invitational. And hopefully we'll get a word with Teresa trackside in just a moment. So this is the home straightaway. He had a good race plan, certainly. He was in second just up until just under 200 meters to go. And then he pulled even on the far turn, unleashed that kick, and then held everybody off, including Ryan Sanchez, who had done most of the work through about 400 meters.
Let's hear from Isaiah now.
Isaiah, you just won the 600 meters here at the Miramar Invitational. It's not the 800 meters, so how did you prepare for this race today?
Mostly just practice race strategy in terms of for the 8. Still treat it like an 8, but, you know, just be thankful that it's only a 600.
And why was it important to open up here at the Miramar Invitational for you?
Well, I always heard about this meet, and it always seemed like an interesting and fun meet. The crowd is lively, so of course I want to be a part of that environment.
Okay, and lastly, walk us through your game plan as you get ready for the 2024 Olympics.
Compete, give everything I have, and do whatever I can to make the team again and show who Isaiah Jewett is.
Awesome, we're excited to see what you have in store for us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. So now it will be the women's turn. And of course, this generation, it didn't happen if you didn't take a selfie of it. Teresa is going to have a very nice collection of pictures from her debut as our sideline announcer for this Miramar Invitational, because she's taking pictures, make sure she's getting pictures with all of the winners. Good plan.
Fans settling in. There's just a few jumps left in this men's long jump competition before it concludes, and that will then end the field event action here. Just 3 events on the schedule for the field events, more of a track-heavy schedule. And this crowd anticipating those 200 meters that are coming up. Here is the former world champion, Gail of Jamaica, now up into second.
Crowd like that, and so did the official. Fair jump.
And he's just 3 centimeters behind Jason Smith here in this 6th and final round. So very similar to what happened with Talia Brooks. Gail now trying to win this event on the last jump. We'll await the measurement here and then update you for it, and it'll populate in real time, so we'll all see it together here for A sixth and final attempt for Gale. Again, 763 is the mark to beat.
In lane 1, she's the 2023
We got very lucky with the weather here, with the refurbishing of this track. It is a complete renovation. Everything you see that's blue, red, or gray is brand new as we await the mark from Gale.
Yeah, still waiting for that mark from Gale, so we'll pass that along to us. We're going to get close to the start of the women's 600 meters here shortly, as they're going through those introductions. And the featured athlete in the field is going to be in lane 4, Ajay Wilson of the United States, the 2022 World Indoor Champion, such a consistent member of this 800-meter field for U.S. two-lappers over the last, in fact, we've seen saying that about her since she was back in high school.
Yeah, that women's 8 has changed a lot in America. In fact, it's changed worldwide with the two teenagers, Keely Hodgkinson and, of course, Athing Mo, winning at the Olympics. And then since then, they've been on the podium every time.
Just wanted to wrap that jump by Gale did not improve his positioning, so he sits in second with 3 more jumpers remaining. In the meantime, we're going to get set for racing here on the track with this women's 600. A couple of no-shows here, Kayla Johnson and Priscilla Morales, so a slightly smaller field than originally designed. We'll have 6 women here. Sadie Henderson wearing that Atlanta Track Club kit, coming into this field with a lifetime best in this event of 126.70. Was U.S. Indoor 5th placer at the Indoor Championships at 800 meters back in 2022. And there's Christiane Gordon-Powell of Jamaica. Picked up a silver medal in the Olympic Games in Rio in the 4x4, former NCAA champion at the 400-meter distance. This is kind of a mashup event, 400 meters, kind of getting a little bit more of a run in, and the 800 runners getting a little bit more of a chance to run fast.
Former Big Ten champion Rinda representing Canada in lane 8. Ajay Wilson will start as the favorite here, former American record holder, and she has won the 800 at each of the last 2 editions of this meet. This is our 3rd year. We were not here in 2022, but we were in 21 and 23. So somebody is going to have to run a really good race if they're going to knock off Ajay, because we know that she is capable of a good kick, and a 600-meter run certainly will favor an 800-meter runner like her who can kick.
Slightly ahead of schedule here, so they're giving the women just a few more moments to prepare for this race, as the men's long jump again is concluding here with a change in the standings. DeMarcus Simpson has now moved into the lead, finally breaking away from the rest of the field. It's been a very collapsed group in the top 4, 7 meters 86, 25, 9.5. He's now moved into the lead. And Will Williams, on his 6th attempt, has overtaken Tajay Gale for 3rd. So the leader going into the last round, Jason Smith, will be up here momentarily, and he's now in 2nd. As they're raking the pit, and we're also getting set for that start of the women's 600, which may actually happen before Smith gets a chance here to be on the runway, but he's going to gather the crowd, so probably delay the start of this women's 6 here for a second, as the last jump in the men's long jump competition is going to happen here right before the start of this women's race. And now here we see Jason Smith on the runway.
Looked like a fair jump.
And the red flag goes up, so he fouls. He'll finish in 2nd. DeMarcus Simpson of the United States, the winner in the men's long jump, 25.9.5. As we go back to racing here at the women's start of the 600 meters.
And by some miracle, DeMarcus Simpson got 3 attempts with the wind at 0.0.
And so Ayu, Maloney, Wilson, Henderson, Gordon-Powell, and Rinda will race to this front straightaway and that cone where they can move to the inside.
Maloney is taking out very aggressively, and now the rest of the field kind of has to respond.
Yeah, and Ajay Wilson, normally, who's been kind of a signature of her racing to be up near the front, but she's going to have to, like about 3 other women, going to have to try to chase down these leaders at the front as they head to the backstretch for the only time. It's Maloney and Gordon Powell, and then back to Ajay Wilson.
Yeah, this is not 800. You can't let anybody get that far ahead. And right now, Maloney of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has forged a huge lead. I don't think anybody's catching her. She's gone.
Michaela Rose, the United States, has the world leading time in this off event of 1:25.75, and that is definitely in jeopardy here. How about this effort by Shafiqua Maloney of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, absolutely clobbering the field here in Miramar. The most definitive effort of the day, and a new world lead and a new national record at 600 meters for Maloney.
That was impressive. Wire to wire, from the time the gun sounded, she went immediately to the front, pushed the pace down the back stretch. And yes, she paid for it coming home. It is 600 meters, but she didn't allow her form to break too much. Good arms coming home. You could see the pain etched on her face. But as you said, Paul, lots of records, both nationally and, of course, the world lead for Shafiqua Maloney of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
She held the previous record, set it a year ago, and that was
4
indoors.
and change seconds faster she's run today than her all-time best. So we talked, you know, about, look, there are things that you find in a meet like this. Look at the gap. Look at the gap between her and second. Remember, this is a race that includes former American record holder Ajay Wilson, who was not even remotely in danger of being close to Maloney. Henderson was second. Wilson ended up in third.
Maloney raced collegiately at Arkansas, graduating in 2022. Making a statement here in Miramar, Florida, winning this 600 meters in a new national record. Getting set for this interview here with Shafiqua.
Okay, Shafiqua, you just won the 600 meters here, mostly an international crowd. How does it feel to win the 600 meters at the Miramar Invitational?
It's an honor to be here among some of the best 800 runners ever. Ajay Wilson, Chrisanne Gordon. So I just be able to come out here and just compete and execute what I had to do.
Yes, and you led the race and came home strong. So what was the plan going into the race?
I spoke to Coach this morning and right before the race, and he told me I need to be at least 53. And, you know, when it comes to stuff like that, I can't trust in myself. I have to trust in the abilities that God gave me and listen to Coach and come out here and execute. He said 53, at least 53 at the 4, and that's what I went for and just finished as best as I could.
Awesome. And since you worked with that game plan, what's the game plan for the rest of the year leading up to the 2024 Olympics?
I know for sure next week I'm going to be at the Tom Jones. And after that, it's just whatever Coach says. I just show up where he tells me to show up and do what he tells me to do. So, yeah.
Awesome. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So that Tom Jones Memorial Invitational will be at the University of Florida as the winner photos continue.
As a former coach, do you like hearing an athlete at that level saying, "I just listened to my coach"? Is that half the battle sometimes?
Oh, absolutely. What's the saying? If at first you don't succeed, listen to your coach the next time. Absolutely, yes. Listening to your coach is very, very rarely going to not lead to good results, and particularly at this level. This was
performance of the meet.
Performance of the meet so far. I mean, we do have the 200s coming up, but so far, no question, she just demolished this field, went out hard, and showed a lot of moxie coming home. Remember, she's running into a pretty significant headwind. So the 600s are in the books. The women's race was very, very entertaining as Maloney put away this big field. And now we get ready for the final 2 events on our calendar this afternoon. The men will go first, and that means Coleman versus Benarik. And then we have the women.
and I'll just put this in some additional context, that 123.80, number 10 all time.
Wow.
As I went to the list and said, that might be worth checking. Because not an off.
It doesn't run, it's not run very often, correct.
But you got Casper Semenya on that list, Ajay Wilson, Thing Mo, Maria Mottola, Mian Saba, Pamela Gelimo, Natoya Gould, who's now just got knocked out of the top 10 by Maloney. That's not a bad place to be.
That is significant, but I'm really looking forward to this men's 200. I said that Coleman was on the outside. It's actually been flipped. Coleman's in 5. Bernard will be in 6.
So you had actually, in our meeting yesterday,
I had
felt
said
like
this is how I wanted it. Yes.
Why would you have wanted it that way?
Well, I always like to see the faster guy and the guy who's maybe a better turn runner on the outside.
They start setting their blocks here for these final 2 events as our sky cam goes ever higher here over the blue skies and the green grass of Miramar, the Sanson Sports Complex, being host once again to this Miramar Invitational in 2024. It's been just a treat to be back here again. Paul Swangar joined by 4-time Olympic medalist Otto Bolden, kind of home meet for you. And
definitely home meet.
Yeah, getting our racing year started on the outdoor season. Actually probably a better indoor season maybe than we had sort of thought was going to be.
How many world records did we have? 4 or 5?
Yeah. And it just maybe more star power in the indoor season than we thought, given that it was an Olympic year. But really been just kind of, I think we all feel the momentum that, again, 111 days from the opening ceremony in Paris for the Paris Olympic Games. It's the year that everyone waits for, and it's going to happen the year it's supposed to happen.
Well, I always say we spend the other 3 years waiting for a year like this. We didn't have to wait 4 years now for the Olympics because of the postponement of Tokyo. So, look, the athletes are ready to go, and we did not have anybody in the stands in Tokyo, as you recall. So this will be the first time that we will have massive, packed houses at the Olympic Games since Rio.
Well, and I would even say London, because we were all in Rio.
Right.
Crowds, some nights were really good.
Crowds were thin in Rio, if we're being honest.
Tiago Braz was going after
right.
the win in the pole vault. The Brazilians were there, and they were packing the house, but there were some off days as well. Yep. And yeah, to really be kind of back to the glory of an Olympic stadium. We're all looking forward to being in Stade de France here in a little bit over 100 days.
And as we get ready for this men's 200, I think it's something that I want to share with our audience. I was speaking to Emmanuel Hudson, who manages Christian Coleman, and he said, Christian Coleman is not going to be like past years where, yes, he's going to try to make the 100 team at the Olympic trials, and then, we'll see with the 200. He wants to represent the United States in both. There he is on your screen. He'll start in lane 5-1, lane to the inside of Kenny Bernard. You see that personal best, 1985. 1985 is not making the U.S. team. So it means that Christian Coleman is going to have to start to set personal bests at 200 meters, because that 200-meter team for the United States, Bernard, Noah Lyles, and that's before we start talking about Ariane Knighton. That is an extremely difficult team to make as Christian Coleman gets introduced, and the crowd acknowledges the twice World Indoor 60 champion.
And there is Kung Fu Kenny, silver medalist at the Olympic Games in Tokyo.
That's the kind of time you have to run to make the Olympic team. Not 19.8, 19.68. You run that kind of time, you have a much better chance.
But back to Coleman, he was one of our main protagonists in the indoor season as he went toe-to-toe with Noah Lyles, who showed up to work on his start and his speed and went all the way to that World Indoor Championships, Noah winning in Albuquerque at altitude, and then Coleman coming back to win the battle for the World Indoor title as well. You look at Rasheen McDonald.
Quarter miler stepping down.
Yep. All the Jamaicans will figure prominently in the narrative going up to Paris, but I think Coleman has to be coming out of indoor season confident. Was kind of getting a little tired of all the Noah Lyles talk.
Yes. Sprinters, no matter how much they smile and shake each other's hand, there is only one spot at the top of that podium, and they all want it. Here's Cato, who will be on the outside. He's also a quarter miler stepping down. He was a Rio Olympian in the 4x4. But the race figures to be 5 and 6. I am interested to see, despite the headwind, if Christian Coleman, I know he's working very hard still on his outdoor season and still loaded up, as is I'm sure a lot of the guys in here, I want to see if they can break 20 into this headwind. I think both of them will go home very happy. So the Olympic silver medalist and world silver medalist, Bednarek in 6, Coleman is in 5. We know Coleman's going to get a good start. He leads off the U.S. 4x1 that won the world title in the 4x1 last year.
And we're underway with the men's 200 here in Miramar as Coleman's making up the stagger on Kung Fu Kenny as they reach it off, but Bednarek not out of it yet. They're going to come in stride for stride.
I don't know that Coleman has put enough distance between him and Kung Fu Kenny, and now Kung Fu Kenny's in control. He's lost his headband.
The headband is lost, but the race is not, as Bednarek is going to take the win. If that holds, that will be the new, no, just off the world lead here, but that stop time is vastly different than the time we're getting on our CIS, as it's actually going to get rounded up all the way into 20.35, and Kung Fu Kenny.
He's going back for the headband.
Going back for the headband. That is not disposable, apparently.
I didn't think it was a sub-20. It looked like it took a while for them to get to the finish line. I've never seen him in all the years of him wearing that headband. It tells you how significant the wind here is in South Florida. So Coleman, I think, will feel like, hey, I stuck with Bednarek for as long as I could. Come on, Kenny. You got to give that to somebody in the stands. You got to get that headband away.
I think it's a rule. If it
comes off, it belongs to the streets. It belongs to the crowd. So we got the matchup we expected, Bednarek and Coleman. Coleman didn't put enough distance between himself and Bednarek on the turn, and I think it's why Bednarek had a relatively easy home straight away. Although Coleman, you could see at the end, fought back a little bit. He was not content to just sit there in second. He was fighting all the way to the line for the gold.
But you can tell this win took its toll as you look down the list of times. I mean, you got world-class athletes, Olympians running 21, barely under 22.
Yeah.
Let's go down to the finish line.
Okay, so I'm standing here first and second place. What was the competition like at the Miramar Invitational here in the 200 meters?
It was great. Have a lot of fast guys here. We have Coleman here. He's a good starter. And I just had to follow the plan because I knew he was going to get out. So, I followed that, listened to my coach, and I got the result I wanted.
And why did you want to open up here in Florida?
I mean, like they said before, I was here in 2021. I opened up pretty fast, so the crowd is amazing here. I know the track is fast, so I just love to come here just because of the atmosphere.
Awesome. And Christian, you are the world indoor 60-meter champion. Why did you want to open up your outdoor season with the 200 meters?
Just a little overspeed training, and I mean, I feel like I'm pretty decent at the 60 to 100, but I feel like I can run a good 200 too. So I want to come out here and compete against the best, good weather, good competition, and open up the season well. So.
And tell me about the atmosphere. You see the fans came out for you guys. What is the atmosphere like running in front of this home crowd?
It's amazing. I mean, and it's always good when the fans are cheering you on, and when you get a little fatigued, the fans just kind of give you a little boost of energy. So it's been good. They're real charismatic and give you a lot of energy. So it's been a good meet so far.
Okay, and walk me through what is the preparation from here leading up to that 2024 Olympics?
Oh man, just stay within myself, like trust the process. Just take one race at a time, and just be ready in June for the trials and go across the pond and try to get gold. That's all it is to it.
Awesome. Walk us through as you get ready for the 2024 Olympics.
Just got to make sure to stay consistent with my races, follow my race plan every single meet. I'm going to be dabbling in 100 here and there because I'm trying to double, but by the time we get to Worlds, the goal is to make it for both teams.
Okay, awesome. USA takes 1 and 2 in the men's 200 meter here at the Miramar Invitational.
Thank you, Teresa. And now we are down to our final event, the women's 200, as both Coleman and Bednarek pose for the pictures.
And this 100-200 double, the way it's structured in the schedule events at the trials, you go through that 100 first, and then you can decide if that 200 is something you want. Because you worry a little bit about, you don't want to risk your 100 in Coleman's case by stretching out there and trying to make that 200 team too.
I always remember Tyson Gay setting a really fast time, running 9.6 on that track, wind aided, And then he goes to the 200-meter rounds. He injures his hamstring, and he is. I don't think he was really the same for several years. It took him until 2009 to bounce back.
So this women's 200 is coming up shortly. We have a couple of scratches in this race coming up. Natalia White of Jamaica and Christina Knott of the Philippines. So we'll have a group of 5 women here to close out this race day in Miramar. Another successful edition of the Miramar Invitational. And as has been mentioned, a lot of action coming fast and furiously. A lot more meets here in the state of Florida. We got all the relay events coming up with a lot of great events happening at Drake and at Penn.
And you heard a lot of the athletes in the post-race interviews talking about the Tom Jones Memorial. I believe that's next week at the University of Florida.
And in just a couple of weeks' time, we'll get the true global circuit underway with the Diamond Leagues. They'll start with 2 back-to-back meets in China for the first time in a while. To come up back to meet here for some final moments of reflection. You know, there's nothing about this season that has surprised me so far. I think it's just, again, this idea that we're going to start to see every year we'll see somebody come out of the woodwork that has used that off-season, perhaps the indoor season, and is ready at a level that maybe none of us would have imagined. And then we've got the main players that we may not see for a while. I mean, we have Sha'Carri Richardson in the building here. We are going to see her on the Diamond League, but you know, the likes of Sydney and others, particularly those folks that are in that camp with the folks out in LA, we may not know when we'll see.
Yeah, we obviously know who the established stars in this sport are. I love to see the ones who sort of bubble under and then figure it out. I'm thinking of, last year I was saying Tobogo all year long. They're like, who's Tobogo? Well, everybody knows who he is now, right? 300-meter world record, 400-meter world lead, and then he jogs the turn, runs 19.9.
1994, still the world lead.
Still the world lead. So there's no way you can prognosticate on what we expect to see in Paris without mentioning the youngster from Botswana. Zarnell Hughes had a huge step up last year in getting that first medal of his in the World Championships in the 100. And then he came back in the 200 and did pretty well as well. So I am always trying to find, and people ask me in airports all the time, who are we not talking about? And I go, I mean, this year I've said Julian Alfred. I've said Tobogo, even though Tobogo is not, nobody is going to overlook Tobogo
If you go back
anymore.
to August of 2021, were you talking about Marcel Jacobs?
No, not for the 100, no. No, not for the 100. I don't think anybody was. He had not shown that level of ability yet. Clearly he had it. He won the Olympic title. But, yeah, I love those sorts of stories where it's just somebody who, it's their day, it's their afternoon, it's their night. Let's get another look at our venue here as we get ready for this last event, the women's deuce. Headlined by Sade Williams. All she's done is become the darling of Barbados's track and field by winning World Championship bronze in each of the last 2 400-meter finals. She will be trying to win Barbados's very first Olympic medal on the track for women in track and field.
Again, a couple of lanes open now. See in the center picture, lane 5. That was to have been Natalia White of Jamaica, but the scratch from this race, Christina Knott, was to be on the outside in 8. So both those names have now disappeared from that start list you see in the bottom left of your screen. Madogo, Flannel, Agyapong, Williams, and Karstoff will be the field in this final event of the day at the Miramar Invitational Women's 200.
And one of the reasons that Sade Williams of Barbados has been running so well is because she moved to Jamaica to train with the MVP group. That's the group, of course, that produced everybody from Asafa Powell, Shelly Ann Fraser-Price, Elaine Thompson-Herah, and so on and so on. Sade Williams has benefited from training in that group in Kingston. The personal best is 22:59, and she ran that this year. So she is clearly in good shape, and she will start as the favorite here in lane 6.
And by this point in the day, you still see the flag blowing right towards the...
Yeah, we had an off day.
Yeah.
Very rarely in 15 years have I seen headwinds the entire day. So here we go, women's 200.
And here
On
we
the
go.
inside, the Dogo, Flannel, Battle, Williams, and Karstock.
Sade Williams looks good on the inside, but Battle now responding on the inside.
Into the main straightaway here, our final race in Miramar. Flannel, but now out there is Williams, and Williams appears to get the victory in lane number 6. It was sort of a casual result there at the end, 22.82, kind of a casual run for top place sprinting at 200 meters. Karstoff gets dragged to second alongside Williams in 23.01, and Flannel faded a little bit there in the last 50 meters or so, will wind up in third in 23.31.
Yep, that looked like a practice run for Sade Williams of Barbados. But she does get the win. But when you see a quarter miler bending over like that after a 200, chances are they ran into a significant headwind, which they did. The wind has not helped us at all with the times. A minus 1.8. There's Sade Williams second from the left. So the 2024 Miramar Invitational is in the books. We've had some good performances, Paul, despite the constant headwind.
You'll have that fixed by next year?
Yes, I will talk to management, and we will resume our usual tailwinds for the 2025, and you guys can.
I wonder if
you guys can quote me on that.
Like the new surface is like changed the wind structure. And the
I sure hope it hasn't, because if the price that we have to pay for having the newest track in America is headwinds, I think we want to go back to the old one.
Let's get one more interview in for the day as we hear from Sade Williams.
Deep breaths. Sade Williams, you just won the 200 meter at the Miramar Invitational. Why was it important as a 400 meter runner to open up your outdoor season with a 200 meters?
Oh, this is not my opener. This is like my third 200. Yeah, so far, and the slowest one of the three. So, right, so the 200 is just to help with my 400, as what I'm gonna tell myself. So 22.8, I guess that's okay. And my next race, I think, will be the 400, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, so despite the times, because it is a bit windy, what was the overall atmosphere? As you know, you're in Florida, a lot of international fans being from Barbados. What did it mean to run in front of them?
I only saw, usually I don't think there are Bajans here, but I mean, this guy just said he's from Barbados. And I saw our flag. I can't remember seeing our flag last year, but it was really nice to see the flag up this year.
Okay, and just final plans as you go on for the 2024 Olympics, getting ready.
Final plans? Just run and train and try to learn my times going on to Olympics.
Okay, thank you. We're excited for the rest of the season.
Pardon?
We're excited to see you for the rest of the season.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone getting into the rhythm, you know, rust busting, even those post-race interviews. Thanks for all those interviews as well. Great to hear from the athletes as well. As fans will go home happy after being entertained here. You know, any chance you have to be able to sit in the stands and, you know, all will unfold for us over the next several weeks and months to come. But we'll eventually have some folks to talk about next year that we said, hey, you know, we saw them back at Miramar in April, and that was a sign of things to come.
Yeah, remember that last year we had Sha'Carri Richardson set the world's fastest time here, and she took that all the way to winning the world title. So it is possible that some of the people that you saw here, I mean, Maloney of St. Vincent the Grenadines with that amazing national record and one of the fastest 600-meter runs ever. Maybe this is the kind of year that she has a breakthrough. We saw some others who maybe we expected better results from, but it is very early. And a lot of athletes don't have a great performance or even a good performance in their very first run. Wow, that's a great shot there from the drone, showing you the waterways that surround us.
You're going to go home and fly your drone, aren't you?
I might, because I've really enjoyed some of these drone shots. I was flying drones over this facility back before everybody had one, but that's really a spectacular shot. And thank you to our production staff today who tried to get some of these shots for you on the broadcast.
So some final thoughts before we say goodbye here from Miramar. First of all, thanks for all that you've done for this facility. I mean, it really has become a true gem on the circuit, and look forward to hopefully maybe doing 1 or 2 more track meets with you before the season is out.
1 or 200, yeah. Of course, you and I will be there for the Diamond League, but yeah, I need to say a particular thank you to the mayor and to the executives of Miramar, because I have lived in cities where the city doesn't get it. The city gets it here. They understand why this is important. You have a very Caribbean demographic in terms of who lives in these surrounding areas, and they have continued to make the Miramar Invitational one of their priorities every year. We have a brand new track, and this meet is going to continue to get them.
Well, and in these, kind of these smaller cottage events, as I call them, it really is the community that puts it together. So it's whether it's, events in Memphis or even, places where we see, the community coming out and supporting these events. It hyper-local makes a huge difference to the sport, doesn't it?
And the thing that I love about this is it makes track fans. Because a lot of kids, they're like, what? We're going to the track meet. And they go to the track meet and they meet Sha'Carri, or they meet Sharika, or they meet Christian Coleman, or they meet Kenny Bednarek, or they meet a shot putter. And they go, oh my gosh, I got to meet her. And now we have a fan who's going to watch the Olympic trials, who is going to watch the Olympics, and who will be a track fan because they came to the Miramar Invitational 5 miles from their house and they saw somebody who they are used to seeing on television. So it's an important meet, and we are very proud of what this meet represents to the wider track and field.
And in my experience, walking in today, it's like, oh my God, it's Otto Bolden.
Well, I live here. Everybody knows me here.
Well, my thanks to Otto, and special thanks to our entire crew here putting on this broadcast in 2024. The Miramar Invitational is in the books. The start of the road to Paris, 111 days to the opening ceremony, and so many more stories to be written. For everyone involved and for Otto Bolden, I'm Paul Swangard saying so long from a